Well, Jonathan, based off the accusations today, I'm not going to lie. We're going to have to take you into custody.
So based on the accusations today, I'm not going to lie. We're going to have to take you into custody. Let's just make sure that's the right words.
Okay, well, Jonathan, based off the accusations today, I'm not going to lie. We're going to have to take you into custody, so let's go.
Jonathan. So, that's the only indication that we know of what the reasoning was for why he had done this, right? So, when did this begin, right? So, this begins, right here in the beginning. I don't know who is this camera. This isn't, I don't know if Soto Cruz was actually Tim just sitting right there. 25 minutes in, right? So, 25 minutes in, he's pretending to talk to me, but he doesn't really give a damn about what I'm saying. He already made a predetermination. He had already predetermined that he was going to arrest me. And since he had predetermined that, all he got was the testimony of one person. And so I'm going to just start this from the beginning, and I'm going to turn off the audio, and I got some quotes, legal quotes I want to read, and then we'll just go from there. I want to say this is probably Hummel's, right? And actually, I probably should listen to some of this, right? There is Brandon Howerton, and he's like using the speakerphone. He's like, hey, you need to come out. I couldn't hear the damn, bullhorn whatsoever. It's incredible how strong and powerful people think they are when they have, a badge and a uniform and a whole bunch of guns. It's the office. Not only, whether I respect you as an individual, but the office, the office carries a lot of weight with me. But if you're actually confronted with dangerous people, right, then they don't really give a damn about the office. They don't really give a damn about the state. You're just a guy. And if you're just a guy and one guy up against another guy, this is overkill. I mean, this is overkill. What kind of gun does this guy have here? Is this some sort of AK-47? Is this a AR-15? I don't know. Let's go ahead and read some quotes. Let's start off with a Lincoln quote. So, what did the great Honest Abe? He had a speech in Peoria, Illinois. And in this speech of Peoria, Illinois, which was given October 16th, 1854, Abraham Lincoln says this: our Republican robe is soiled and trailed in the dust. Let us repurify it. Let us turn and wash it white, in the spirit, if not the blood, of the Revolution. Let us readopt the Declaration of Independence, and with it the practices and policy which harmonize with it. Let North and South, let all Americans, let all lovers of liberty everywhere join in the great and good work. If we do this, we shall not only have saved the Union, but we shall have so saved it as to make and to keep it forever worthy of the same. And so, is he listening to me? Is he talking to me right now? What's going on right here?
Where's your tack vest? I told you to bring your tack vest. It's in the house. Sheriff's office, come on, talk to us real quick.
So this is Hummel's, right?
Just come out and talk to us real quick, and sir, you don't have to return to South Brooklyn, just come out and talk to us. Right on.
Okay, yeah, I'm supposed to be like, hey, how's it going, everybody? I called him when Tecumseh was murdered. He just put a thumb up his ass, and then there was a drive-by shooting. He came up and was harassing me. He drives up onto my lawn, and he has this fucking loud-ass horn, and he's like, well, How did it happen? What happened? I'll have to rewatch this, later on. But I just want to. Been doing a lot of case law. What kind of gun is that? We could take a look at see what kind of gun that is, right? I mean, let's see. We got a nice little magazine there. It's either AK-47 or AR-15, right? So AK-47, they got like a banana clip. So it's probably not an AK, right? Because you got the banana clip, and then you have that sight right there. It's probably an AR-15, right? Let's see what an AR-15 looks like. AR-15. It kind of seems like an AR-15, but it also kind of seems like it might not be. Let's see. Is that what that looks like? Yeah, I mean, it kind of looks like that. You got like a little handle on top right there, and then the magazine. He's got, what has he got, about 20 bullets in there? How big of a magazine is that? He's going to pump 20, 30, 50 bullets. How many bullets is in that magazine, you think? So I'm guessing this is an AR-15. That's what I'm guessing. So we got ourselves automatic weapons. You got your Tommy gun? All right, everybody get their automatic weapons out. Get your machine guns out. John Masters just utilized the Second Amendment. John Masters just utilized the Second Amendment. Y'all need to get out your machine guns. Okay, so let's keep on letting this play. Now I'm talking about probable cause here. Probable cause. Okay, so Beck v. Ohio, 1964. It says that the standard for arrest is probable cause, and it's defined in terms of facts and circumstances sufficient to warrant a prudent man in believing that the suspect had committed or was committing any offense. Probable cause is needed for a search or arrest. An arrest without probable cause is unconstitutional. An arrest or search without probable cause is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court had overturned the Ohio Supreme Court decision in Beck v. Ohio, 1964, and vacated Beck's conviction. When it comes to warrantless arrest, probable cause is crucial. Subjective good faith alone is not the test for probable cause. Subjective good faith alone is not the test for probable cause. That is very important. Not a single objective fact to support a belief by the officers that Beck was engaged in a crime. This is fascinating. I wish I knew more of the facts of this Beck v. Ohio, because, I mean, I just see the holding, and I don't know the circumstances to it. But there's several things that we can glean from this, okay? So this arrest here that's going on in Costilla County, this is a warrantless arrest. So they didn't get a warrant. They didn't go to a judge and say, hey, we have probable cause in order to make this arrest. And then, man, they are way down there. Like, where the hell did they back up? I didn't see if they moved. They're like way below, where my... What are they doing? Like, what in the hell are they doing? So, this is interesting, to say the least. And I never got Cruz Soto's, body camera. Did he forget to wear a body camera? All right, let's carry on. They don't have a single objective fact to support a belief, that John Masters was engaged in a crime. Joe Canty said some crap, but they don't have any evidence that says that it's true. And they didn't interview Robert Pickerel. Robert Pickerel's right there the whole time, right in the middle of the thing. He's delivering to Pickerel's house. And then if, any of what Joe Canty was saying, then why did he go ahead and make the damn delivery anyways? Oh, man, I was afraid for my life. And then you just drove on out, right? And you came straight to the police station. Well, first I made the delivery to the neighbor's house. And then you said he was running after you? Yeah. And then I turned around and then he just disappeared. Did you see a 6-foot-tall man and the 5 dogs? No. No, I didn't see him. And I didn't jerk my steering wheel in order to threaten his life. Or I didn't do any of that. We didn't ask you if you... Oh, I didn't see the 6-foot-tall man with 5 dogs. I'm a compulsive liar. I'm a pathological... I also didn't threaten his life. I jerked my steering wheel to say hello. That's how I say hello. I act like I'm going to, drive into the person. That's how I roll. So subjective good faith alone is not the test for probable cause. That's Beck v. Ohio. Now let's take a look at Jackson v. Virginia, 1979. When the quantum of proof supporting a conviction falls sufficiently far below this standard, then the due process clause requires that the conviction be put aside, even in the absence of any procedural error. So that's fascinating. They're saying that if there is no evidence, then you have to set the conviction aside. And frankly, a conviction without an indictment is a conviction that lacks all conviction. It lacks legal and moral conviction. Oh, we got our gun up. Let's see here. Let's get our binoculars. Oh, we hear that Jonathan fired a couple warning shots, huh? He used the Second Amendment. This isn't America here. This is fucking goddamn Soviet Russia. This is motherfucking third world Africa. Here we're allowed to, as the police, we can do whatever the hell we want to. If you bribed us, if you paid us off, you know. I mean, my God, I called so many fucking times. We're going to pretend that Robert Pickerel didn't participate in a drive-by shooting. We're going to pretend that Sam Jepson didn't participate in a drive-by shooting. And we're going to pretend that Phil Greeny probably did some drive-by shootings, but not for sure 100%. But he, you know, dozens. That when I say 200 crimes, that motherfucker, every time I would come out to work on my fence, he's driving by my house. Every time I leave, he's driving by my house. Every time I come back, he's driving by my fucking house. When I go to Conejos County, he's driving by my fucking house. I'm living up in the fucking mountains. Why does he keep on driving by my motherfucking house? Why does he keep fucking doing this? Phil fucking Greeny, why the fuck does everybody in this goddamn community suck Phil Greeny's dick? And you know what Ann Kelly suggested? I was sleeping by witness, so I'm going to suggest all you guys are tossing that Phil Green salad, you know? I mean, Soto Cruz cannot stand up to Phil Greeny or Kenny Capon. They can't stand up to him. I mean, my God, Velasquez, they cannot arrest Robert Pickerel. Robert Pickerel would beat the shit out of them. They're too, you know, Robert Pickerel's too big. He knows karate, and he's an ex-con, right? So there's no way. They can never arrest Robert Pickerel. They have to fondle the balls a little bit, toss a little salad, and do a little dick sucking. Make sure to grab a hold of the shaft, do a little reach around, little finger in the butt. Where are we going with this? I don't know. Sam Jepson, you have to, you know, toss this out too. They're clearly having sex with Sam Jepson, Phil Greeny, and Robert Pickerel. Why else would they not arrest these guys, you know? Why would they not arrest these guys? So let's see. I'm looking at my binoculars, and I got my gun out here. Let's see here. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. What's the evidence? Well, Joe Canty said something. Well, Joe Canty's a liar. Well, we love lies and liars, and we take the liar's lie, and we force it into a truth. Well, is anything going to happen? I mean, is there going to be any sort of, you know, like firefight? Does Jonathan come out? Does he throw a rock or something? Or does he, like, cuss you guys out? Or does he go for the jugular? What's going to happen here? And here they are opening my fence, right? So forgot to put a lock on the damn thing. And then I even have, look, 4153 Delaware Trail, right? I even got little fucking numbers for it. I even got a little fence line. I'm adding some culture and civilization to the damn place. I'm increasing people's property rates. I was very much a civilizing force in there. And here they are trespassing on my property. Why? Because I enforce Colorado's Bill of Rights. I believe in America you have a right to speak, you have a right to peacefully assemble, you have a right to religion, you have a right to own and bear arms, you have a right to kick a soldier out who's quartering your home, you have the 4th Amendment, 5th Amendment, 6th Amendment, and then you even have a 7th and 8th and 9th Amendment as well, 10th, 11th, it goes to 27. You also got habeas corpus and no bills of attainder, and then you also have no ex post facto law. Alright, let's get back to reading the quotes. I'm trying to teach myself. Jackson v. Virginia. Okay, so Jackson v. Virginia says that if you don't have the evidence that would support the conviction, then it's got to be set aside. You know, clearly something had happened, right? You don't even have the evidence that something had happened, then how in the world did you get the damn, you know, jury to say that it did? All because you're a corrupt judge and you're a corrupt prosecutor, and then the police were either, you know, tyrannical or corrupt as well, or maybe overzealous. Maybe we could just say they're overzealous. Fifth Amendment, let's see, grand jury imposes a probable cause standard also. So the Fourth Amendment literally says probable cause, but the Fifth Amendment says you got to have a grand jury indictment for any infamous and capital, cases. So that's kind of two amendments say you got to have probable cause. Not only do you have to have probable cause to do a search or seizure, but you also have to have probable cause, a judicial determination. So the court has to determine that there was probable cause. A cop may or may make a mistake, but you're going to have the court that upholds it. And then you're going to have a grand jury. And a grand jury, it's a little burdensome. You have to get 23, 24 guys, and then you have to get 12 of them to agree that probable cause was there. But it's a little burdensome, but then it's also not really that burdensome. Just 12 people. You know how easy that sounds? I used to be a community organizer, so I'd have to, I could get like 20, 30-something people to sign my petition every day. And for membership, when I was just doing petitioning, I could get like 100 signatures. But when it came to memberships, I could get like 30 people to sign my memberships. So to think that just finding 12 people who I can get to agree that the probable cause exists, that just sounds like the easiest thing in the world. And then Colorado makes it easier. All you have to do is get 9 of the 12. So you don't even have to get 24 people and then find 12 who think that probable cause happened. All you have to do is get 12 and then just 9 of the 12. That's all you got to do is get 9 of the 12. And so who do we have here? We got Yida. We got Tiger is up there. And then we also have Tim Tim. And, there's a lot of excitement, and it's kind of crazy how I think about these dogs. Yida, he seems like he's just wagging his tail and he's having a fun time, and, part of them wants to think that this is a nice social event, but their instincts are kicking in too. It's like, hey, he's on our territory, what's going on? And so it's interesting just looking at how my dogs react. And then I don't have Chumba or Mufasa. So I wonder where Chumba and Mufasa. There's Chumba right there. Hi, Chumba. Chumba's still alive, I think, and kicking in Nevada. Unfortunately, Mufasa is not alive anymore, and breaks my fucking heart. So Brady v. Maryland says, withholding exculpatory evidence violates due process where the evidence is material to the guilt or to the punishment. So exculpatory evidence is evidence that could undo, the verdict, that could go the opposite direction. Not only is that an exculpatory standard, but it's a material. If you have material or exculpatory evidence that wasn't submitted into court because society, every man owes society their evidence. And so therefore any evidence that's material or exculpatory, if it can be brought in, maybe there's some, exigent, reason for why people can't come testify, but ultimately society is owed every man's evidence. So I think it's a good standard. That's a good standard. You need to have a good faith basis, and you need to have a reasonable, probability that something may have happened. So that's probable cause. And you have good faith, right? I just went in there. I'm not there because he called 911 several times, and I was annoyed with him. And I didn't know him. He's only been here for a day, and he's been, honest with us, and he's got his planning and zoning permits. And that's not why I'm arresting him, just because he called 911 so many times, and it annoyed the hell out of us. And, I guess it would have been terrible to live through all those things that he said was happening. But by the time we would show up, the criminals were already hiding from us. They were hiding in the valleys. They would drive into the mountains, so we didn't see them. And then we would leave, and they would actually follow us out, but we didn't notice any of that. USV Bagley says, only if there's reasonable probability that had the evidence been disclosed to the defense, the jury's position would have significantly altered the jury's decision or position. So this is, talking about whether or not the prosecution has evidence, and if they had the evidence and they didn't disclose it, then that's a problem. I'm arguing something differently. I'm talking about compulsory process. The Sixth Amendment says that we have a right to call up our witness. We have a right to call friendly and hostile witnesses, and we have a right to get, the evidence and the documents that we need. So we have a right to material and exculpatory evidence. We have a right. Let's see here. Hale, he's got a nice little quote here. Sir Matthew Hale, because there's some debate about accrual. The history of the common law of England, the law hath provided that suits shall be commenced within a certain time, lest controversies should be immortal. So if you have an immortal suit, a controversy that is just going to stand the test of time, because what they're trying to say is felony menacing, right? They're going to try to say, well, warning shots, that sounds like you were using a gun to try to scare people. Well, that's felony menacing. And I'm saying, no, that's the Second Amendment, and the person had threatened me. And then they might say, well, he didn't, threaten to murder you. Well, yeah, he did threaten to murder me. He jerked the steering wheel. And, that's my property, my dogs, me. He's threatening me. Well, it wasn't imminent, okay? The attack wasn't imminent. There's three definitions. Knowingly, the person who felony menaces must knowingly threaten the other person with imminent bodily injury. And so he was out of my eye line, 3 warning shots straight up into the air from behind my house. There was no imminent threat coming from me. And then from him, you might say, well, he wasn't imminently threatening you. Well, from the road, I guess it would have took 5 seconds to drive out to where I was. It wasn't imminent, but 5 seconds, that's not very far. So I believe warning shots was commiserate to the threat. It was proportional, right? Somebody threatens you from afar. Maybe they mean it. Maybe they don't mean it. Maybe they're going to, act upon it immediately. Maybe they're just going to drive on. But you just threatened me. You just threatened my life, my property, my dogs. And I fired a couple warning shots because you had threatened me. So is that an immortal controversy? When I had filled out the instructions, he's going to not even do the self-defense instructions. So he didn't even tell the jury about this, I have a right to self-defense. But I had written some instructions because Colorado law says that you're allowed to write instructions because, well, that makes sense, right? What was my understanding of the law at the time? What was my understanding of the law? And then what the situation had happened? And so therefore I get to write the instructions, and the way I wrote the instructions was perfect. Basically I said that if you think it's felony menacing, if you think Jonathan Masters was just, showing a gun and shooting a gun and just trying to scare people, okay, fine. But if you think that it was the Second Amendment, that he was, defending home, person, and property, Article 2, Section 13 says you have a right to own and bear arms in defense of home, person, and property. And also in the aid of the authority of the sheriff, you can be a part of the policy comitatus whenever you're called for by the civil authority. That could be the damn court system or the commissioners too. Hell, maybe the commissioners could come out here. But for our purposes, you have a right to defend. You have a right to own and bear arms. Bear means to carry arms. So you have a right to own and carry arms for self-defense for home, person, and property. Well, hell, I'm at my home. I was defending my person, and I was defending my property. So that's all three. So that's, if you believed in Colorado law and the Article 2, Section 13, if you thought that I was defending myself, well, then you would have to go on my side. He throws those instructions out. And so I can understand. I'm not arguing against the felony menacing law because, you could just come by with guns, in your hands and showing off that you got guns and AK-47s and AR-47. Then you might, point a gun at John Masters for 48 seconds like Keith Schultz had done just to, try to scare people. Just try to scare people or maybe try to provoke person to act stupid so you can maybe, just go ahead. Well, he moved and I was worried. So you can do felony menacing. I believe here is Soto, Cruz saying, why don't you go around the back? Go around the back, okay? Just sneak around the back. And that's going to be before the 25-minute mark, right? So eventually he's going to level with me at 25 minutes. But now he's saying, why don't you just see if you can go up the back somehow? So now they're going to walk around my damn place to see if they could somehow, arrest me from behind. We're having a conversation, but in his mind, he's already determined he's going to arrest me. He don't care about my side at all. I mean, Joe Canty said some lies. He wants to put his hands on me. He wants to put me into jail. And then that comes to the arbitrary impeachments, right? What did Hamilton say in the Federalist Paper number 84, the practice of arbitrary imprisonments have been in all ages the favorite and most formidable instruments of tyranny. So that's Federalist Paper number 84, and that's Hamilton. So this is Velasquez. We're looking through Hunter Velasquez's property. And then you see, here's one of my cars, had broken down. But see this white truck that's out there? One of the guys had, broken his truck down, and he'd pay me $100 just to sit it on my property because he, believed that I was an honest person and that it would be safe here. Velasquez had actually talked to that guy, and then somebody was driving along his property, and he just kind of ignored the damn thing. And then see my truck is parked out there in the back corner, and then that van was broken down. Man, fucking 4 fucking cars, the amount of money. And then here I, paid this guy because I was going to build like a little basement area. And then right here, actually I'm glad that they walked around. Let's, back up a little bit here, because this is the spot. This is the spot where I had fired warning shots. And so back corner, back of the house, and I shot it straight up into the air. So as you go around the corner, right, you can only see, how much can you see? Okay, so you can only see to right here. So if he's driving here, driving here, driving here, driving here, by the time he drives past my eyesight, I shoot 3 warning shots up into the air. There's no threat whatsoever. He was not under imminent threat. I'm not running into the front yard. And what is this? Is this like some sort of hay bale? There's something really fat and big right there. And so he's saying that I ran out here, right, from this perspective. I'm out in the back, corner of my house. He's saying, man, I had all the solar panel stuff up. I'm fucking trying to, man, I really put a lot of goddamn sweat and blood and toil and tears into this place. But let's just carry on. So I think this is like a gigantic, hay bale. And so he's saying that I ran along this little, line right here, and then I guess I jumped over the hay bale or ran the hay bale, and then I'm chasing him in the front yard, and that I was shooting at him. None of that is true. I'm standing right here, right here, maybe even a little bit behind the damn thing. As soon as he drives out of view, then I fire 3 warning shots up into the air. He wasn't, being threatened. He threatened me from the road. So just the same distance that he had threatened me is the same distance that I had said, hey, if you carry on with your nonsense, I was communicating with him. I don't know who you are. I'm sick of you guys committing crimes against me. I've already had 39 shots, shot at my head. You already murdered my beloved Tecumseh. What the fuck did he do? You got right-wing Nazi sovereigns all over the place around here. You got that goddamn McDonald sitting there molesting children. So, and then you got Andre Burroughs, who's a fucking serial killer. No telling what there's arsons all over the place. Basically, if you think of a fucking crime, it was happening out there. Fucking shit. Robbery, assault, rape, murder, arson, serial killing. All the major fucking crimes, like Jesus fucking Christ. And then they ignored all those crimes. Didn't listen to me, didn't gather my evidence, didn't take my videotapes, didn't take anything, my notes or anything. I was prepared to testify to everything that I had called them to do. And so I bet you the criminals are fucking laughing at these stupid ass cops. I bet they think it's just so goddamn funny. I mean, man, we fucking committed like 200 fucking crimes against Jonathan Masters. He kept calling 911, and then he got arrested. He was compliant with planning and zoning. We kept fucking with him every day. He would just go to the store. We're driving around his house. We wouldn't let him go to the damn grocery store. We wouldn't let him get his mail. We were every time he would just go build his damn fence. He would just try to construct his fence. I'm driving right past him saying, fuck you. I might fucking shoot you. Who knows? Who gives a shit? Those fucking right-wing sovereign Nazis are fucking laughing at Costilla County, laughing at me. I feel embarrassed. I went here and I told some of the local people that, be moral. I'm being lawful. You don't have to be as lawful as I am, but, treat your neighbor as yourself. Be good, be moral. And then I got fucked. I got fucked the fuck over. For being lawful, for being moral, for treating my neighbor as myself. I'm the one that got fucked the fuck over. So now when I come back here, I'm not allowed to use the courts. I can't use the cops. And now I'm not allowed to defend myself. So now I just got to let Phil Greeny rape the shit out of me. I mean, they keep sucking Phil Greeny's dick. So now I got to fucking join his little dick sucking fucking parade. I gotta fucking suck Pickerel's and Jepson's dick? What the fuck? What a stupid proposition. Okay, y'all want to suck their fucking dicks. Y'all suck their fucking dicks, you know. You all want to let the crimes happen. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Which means when Sam Jepson and Pickerel and Greeny want to commit more crimes against people, y'all won't fucking say shit. You won't know shit. You won't say shit. You won't do shit. You're going to let them commit more and more crimes. They're going to burn more houses down. They'll, you know, this worked out. This worked out exactly how they wanted it to, right? They committed 200 crimes against me. I got arrested. I'm the good, lawful, you know, planning and zoning compliant person. I'm the one that called 911. Pickerel says, what are you, a cop caller? You some sort of cop caller? And I got screwed over for it, right? Man. When I think about all the time that I did the designing, and then I paid the people to come out and dig a hole, and then so they walked around my house and they couldn't see any easy spots to, you know, go up the house. They're trying to say maybe you could lift them up, do that, but eventually when they're walking by over here, they could see like a little, like a seat. Anyways. Based on the allegations, based on the accusations today, that's what he said, right? Based on the accusations or allegations. Because based on the accusations, Pickerel should have been, you know, oh, you knocked that paint can over, asshole, why don't you fix that paint can? I'm not going to lie, we're going to have to take you into custody. Oh, okay, you're not lying, so why'd you have 5 fucking police officers? Why are you pretending to talk to me? You clearly don't care about my perspective. You're not going to weigh whether or not I was utilizing my Second Amendment or not. You don't care about Article 2, Section 13. You haven't read the Bill of Rights. You didn't make that calculus. He didn't say, well, was it Second Amendment? Was it defense? Okay, one guy is saying one thing, another guy is saying another thing. You know, when I called 911, this guy was like kind of nipping at the bit. He was trying to say, oh, I want to talk to you, you know. But then after all this had went down the way that it did, he actually was kind of the nice guy. He's going to walk away, you know. He's going to get fired. Hummel doesn't work there. There's Schultz just chilling. There's fucking Hummel right there. So 2 of these 5 no longer work at the, you know, police department. And so eventually he's going to say, well, Jonathan, based on the, allegations or accusations? And then he keeps saying, hey, listen, I'm going to kidnap you today. So how did you, oh, okay. So he's talking down to me and talking stupid. He's not paying attention. He promised that he was going to get back to me on all that. He didn't come back to me whatsoever. You know, this garage, this door, it's all fucking fallen down. It's all been knocked down. So, you know, they fucked me over. Now, I thought I was going to have a nice, peaceful house, living in a nice neighborhood. I thought Costilla County was like, you know, a good place to raise a family. It is not. It is not a good place to raise a family. It is not a good place to find a career, raise a family. It's not a good fucking neighborhood. Criminals just commit fucking crimes willy-nilly, and the cops and the courts don't do shit. I mean, if they're not in cahoots, then these are the most incompetent fucking Reno 911 Keystone cops you've ever fucking seen.
Okay, well, Jonathan, based off the accusations today, I'm not...
Based off of the accusations today. Based off of the accusations today. And then I said I got 3 months of stuff, and he was like, okay, anyways, anywho... I know you got 3 months worth of evidence, and then we could go after, you know, a lot of fucking major criminals, and then we could, you know, you would be absolutely key, you'd be absolutely crucial, and we could really take down some of these rat bastard fucks that are going around committing crimes out here, because that's not what I want in my Costilla County. I don't want people to come out here and play for their planning and zoning and shit, get their fucking dog murdered, people doing drive-by shootings and fucking harassing people till the end of the goddamn night. I don't want arsons and goddamn motherfucking child abuse and goddamn serial killers around here. That's not the kind of fucking Costilla County that I run. No way. That's not what I want. So we're going to take your evidence, and then we're going to listen to you, and we're going to follow up on your leads, and you'll make sure you'll come into trial to, you know, testify, right? Yeah, okay, excellent, cool. That'd be great. Fucking liar. He didn't follow up on any of it. He didn't follow up on any of this shit. So he said he was going to get back to me about Tecumseh. Never did. Said he was going to get back to me about, you know, Jepson and Pickerel and fucking Greeny. Never did. We must remember that the extent of any privilege of search and seizure without a warrant which we sustain, the officers interpret and apply themselves and will push to the limit. That comes from Brinegar v. U.S. 1949. So, should we review some of this stuff? Let's review. So, Brinegar, here's a great quote from Brinegar. This has to do with a smuggling liquor case. 1949, Brinegar versus U.S. These long prevailing standards seek to safeguard citizens from rash and unreasonable interferences with privacy and from unfounded charges of crime. They also seek to give fair leeway for enforcing the law and the community's protection because many situations which confront officers in the course of executing their duties, one more or less ambiguous, room must be allowed for some mistakes on their part, but the mistakes must be those of reasonable men, acting on facts leading sensibly to their conclusions of probability. The rule of probable cause is a practical, non-technical conception affording the best compromise that has been found for accommodating these often opposing interests. Requiring more would unduly hamper law enforcement. To allow less would be to leave law-abiding citizens at the mercy of officers' whim or caprice. Just the caprice of the calumny. I'm just supposed to live at the caprice of the calumny? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. This is Martin Luther King. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. So, when it comes to a time limit on 1983, technically the federal law says that there is no time limit. Filling the state law in for the federal law is not how it works. According to Scalia, and this is Wallace v. Kato, 2007, Scalia says that the time limit for a civil rights case is the federal law combined with the common law. Nothing to do with the state law. It's the federal law and the common law. And so there is no time limit for a civil rights case. The ceiling, in my, perspective, would be the double jeopardy clause. So you file it, you got one good crack at it. You get one good crack at it, and if you can't get the, crack at it, then double jeopardy allows them to, run away. Rodney Benton Jr., he's got an insane $25 million lawsuit filed, but it was wrote up really well. Let's see here. When offense is based on a series of facts, here's an interesting, statute of limitations law, CRS 165401. So, they did all this crazy shit, right? They did all this crazy shit, had fucking 5 motherfuckers with AK-47s and shit, and when he said he was going to arrest me, it's like, what the fuck? I had said, all right, here's 3 things I want. You want me to go with you? I'll go with you willingly, but I want to, 1, put my dogs away, because my dogs are going to have to run around in my house, and who knows how long I'm going to be, in the jail. So I want to make sure they have water and they have food. So I want to put my dogs up, and then I want to get some bail money, and then I want to get a drink of water. So those are the 3 things, and then I also asked, for a phone call, and I make 1 phone call. But look at this shit. Talk about a breach of fucking privacy. Talk about an invasion of fucking privacy. So because I enforce my civil liberties, frankly, say the Third Amendment happened and, you had to push a soldier out of your house. He tried to quarter inside your house and you had to push him out. Instead of arresting that person, I think that we should throw a goddamn cotillion. We should have a parade and a cotillion. We should throw a cotillion. We should have a ball. We should have a big old party because that was a good American. That was a good American enforcing his civil liberties. That's what this was. This was me enforcing my civil liberties. When the courts and the cops didn't do a damn thing, I wrote down my civil liberties and I said, well, what are my options here? Okay, I could use, my mouth. You have a right to speak. I could peacefully assemble. I'd have to gather people and have to find out where these people are. I could pray, right to religion, right to peaceful assemble, right to petition. I could say, write them a letter, write the government a letter. So now we're going to see inside my house and, I guess, I don't know. Maybe I should have counted my blessings while I was living there. But it wasn't fun living there. It wasn't nice. It wasn't fun. It sucked. I had to fucking keep working. I had to keep on making sure I improved my damn lot because of fucking planning and zoning. Got to keep improving, keep progressing. And then when I'm getting harassed, it's like, oh shit, planning and zoning is going to revoke all my stuff because I'm not progressing. I'm not. There's all my straps, on the fucking wall. Chairs and all the stuff that it's there. All my property. This is just a wasteland now. Now it's a total fucking wasteland. They totally fucked me the fuck over. So here I'm making my phone call, right? So I still got to take my dogs. I still got to go get my bail. There's just one, I had like a little attic, right? So I lived in one main room, and that's where me and my dogs had stayed, but I had a little loft that I slept on, and then above the loft I had like a little attic. And I had a bunch of books up there in my little attic. And that was fun, because in my little attic I could just, kind of have the childhood I never had. Just be up there, kind of read my books, read some cartoons and, some comic books and, draw and just kind of have like my little tree house, just have my little private little tree house where I could just kind of read and write and sort of, have a peace of mind. And here, they're following me, they're walking over here, and then here I'm reminding myself, right, this is kind of funny because you had, what's his name? Howerton reminded me of what else I was looking for, because I was like, okay. It's just over in that room, so it's nowhere around anywhere.
In the room that the dog just came from?
I'm going to get what did I say? Dog food and money.
And some water.
He said, and a drink of water. And a drink of water. Is that Mufasa? Yeah. So, Mufasa's not alive anymore, you sons of bitches. This Colorado fucking nightmare doesn't fucking stop. I haven't been able to really do much of anything. Find a fucking wife and family, get a goddamn career. These motherfuckers have absolutely stopped my goddamn life, and they stopped my life for 4 fucking years straight. And these pieces of shit, they don't feel any fucking shame. They have no conscience. The innocent feel, guilty, and the guilty don't feel a goddamn thing. I was living off grid. I didn't even have any kind of generator or anything. I was living off of solar power, and if the solar power went out, that was my one little light. I had one little light that was in there. I had a bunch of videotapes that I had made, and I was making a bunch of videotapes, basically criticizing a lot of liberal media, left-wing media, because it's like, shit, I might not make it. I might not make it in this goddamn dangerous neighborhood. But I was also, in a way, relieved a little bit, too, because, well, hell, it has been hell living through, next to fucking right-wing sovereign Nazi fucks. It's been absolute hell living around these Nazi fucks. So, by them doing that, that broke the curse, but if I had a choice between, I don't know, because the court system, the police shit, that's fucked up 4 years of my life, whereas, living around the Nazis fucked up 2 years of my life. Here I got like a nice little like sunroof, and I got like a little stair. I made the stairs myself. I kept imagining my daughter would come down the steps to meet her prom date down here. And so this wasn't great. I just barely started it. I didn't get to furnish it. There was a wood stove that was in there, and who knows what it looks like now. I'm sure it's all moldy and falling apart, and who knows if any of it's standing, and who knows what people have taken, and people probably put holes in it and probably spray paint. No telling what they've done. And, there's just it's fucking bull. I have tea. You saw there's like tea right there on the side. So, with a little bit of energy that I would have, I would, how did I boil my tea? I'm not sure how I made my tea here. Is that Howerton or is that Hummel? I'm up in the attic getting some bail money, but let's make sure we got our fucking AK-47s on there, right? Who knows what he's up to. I'm the one being honest around here. I'm the one being honest around here. I'm the one that told them the truth. I'm the one that called 911 when I saw the crimes. I'm the one that paid for these stupid fucking permits. I put a stupid ass fucking septic tank. Colleen Romero got her fucking, 500 fucking bucks, right? So I'm just on solar power. I got a little laptop and just my little cell phone, little laptop, just basically barely living. I got some books. You saw a little bit of marijuana there, so if anything, I was smoking some good marijuana. That was kind of nice. And then I had, my books, my bookshelf, and then I had my little attic. And but it sucked every time I walked outside because I want to walk my dogs. It's good to walk them anyways, to piss and shit outside. I don't want to have to pick up their piss and shit from the inside. And what are they searching for, huh? Where's your napalm at, huh? Where's all your fucking mortars at, huh? Where's all this extra stuff at? Nothing of what you motherfuckers thought was going on was going on. Nothing of what you motherfuckers thought was going on was going on. Well, hell, we thought there was going to be a shootout. Dude just talks to us and then fucking goes with us willingly. That was weird. We were thought that there was going to be craziness and that he's just fucking, throwing bombs and grenades and just goddamn fucking nuking, just dropping fucking, went with the nuclear option. Thinking about all my fucking, God, all that organization, all my, fucking clothes and fucking things that's hanging up and, what is that, like a little stove right there? I had a little stove. Is that, I guess my stove, I had a propane stove, so that's sort of how I was boiling my tea and all my tools and shit there. And here is the RV I drove in, right? All this is knocked down. All these walls have been knocked down. So, yeah, great fucking, going back to memory town, huh? And so, they're worried about, is he going to go up to the attic and there be something? No, nothing fucking happened, you fucking pricks. You're the motherfuckers that are dangerous. You're the motherfuckers that didn't give a shit about drive-by shootings. If you want to say that Second Amendment is terrible, well then shit, then you should be really mad at Robert Pickerel for doing a drive-by shooting. He wasn't using the Second Amendment. He didn't read any of the laws. He didn't read planning and zoning. They're asking about where the gun is, and the gun, my shotgun is here in the front, and this was like a little dog door right here, This was a dog door. I would put my dogs in here and let them run around. I hardly ever, used that spot for any reason. I would just go in there to build on the stuff because I put planning and zoning. I had an ambitious plan, and so when I turned into planning and zoning, I was trying to comply with planning and zoning. I wish I never fucking went to Costilla County. This has been the worst goddamn mistake of my fucking life. It's been the worst goddamn mistake in my fucking life. So, go to planning and zoning and they say, here, I'm going to just be ambitious. He can't do it because he's got his vest on, and I think somebody else is going to, so they're going to go get my shotgun, and eventually he's going to say, leave the shotgun there. So, yeah, such a huge threat, let me tell you. He was supposed to get back to me, never got back to me, fucking liars. Fucking lying motherfuckers, man. That's all they do is fucking lie. Lie through their fucking teeth. And they can't go after the dangerous people, right? Too scared to go after Pickerel and fucking Jepson and Greenie. Too fucking scared. But they'll go after Mr. Good Lawful fucking Mr. Rogers here. Oh, Mr. Rogers? Mr. Rogers fired a couple warning shots? Well, we need to arrest Mr. Rogers. He's good, kind, treats his neighbor like, himself. Won't you be my neighbor? So this Brinegar versus U.S., to get back to Brinegar versus U.S., man, it sucks being, re-traumatized like this. There's Yida. What's going on, man? He's just so happy and excited for all the rest of them. And then I said something, you're not going to shoot me, are you? And then Yida's right there. What's he got, his little handgun? You're going to shoot my dog too, you fucker? So, they're expecting, something crazy to happen, but nothing crazy was going to happen except from you sons of bitches. Mufasa's dead now, so thank you motherfuckers for fucking over my life. Yeah, hi baby. Hi Mufasa. There's Chumba. Chumba's being nice. There's Tiger. She's still around. I miss Chumba. I miss Mufasa. So at least they got some good, I guess, shots of my dogs. I was getting good shots of my dogs. Yedid broke his arm, but he plays like his arm is broken a bunch to get like sympathy. It could be still sore, But I know that if I ever got upset with him, he would just kind of lift up his arm. Remember when my arm was broke? Yeah, I do remember, buddy. And that was scary, too. When he broke his arm, I had to take him to the vet. And since I was by myself, I paid a guy with a gun. I mean, that's what it takes, right? For you guys, whenever you all drive into town, you got to pay somebody with a gun to sit at your place, and you got to make arrangements, and you got to pay the guy, and then you got to drive up there to the vet and get him checked out, and you got to pay the vet, and then get a cast on him, and then come back, and you got to do it. There's the shotgun. Oh, man. They're scared. They got fucking 5 fucking, assault rifles, and they're worried about my little pea shooter, and then the fucking magistrate, Kim Woods, the county judge wants to make sure, let's see, do we got his gun? Yeah. Well, what about your bullets? I still had a couple bullets. Well, we're going to need to get those too. Oh, fucking great, Kim Woods, you piece of shit. Fucking stupid ass piece of shit, man. Such a fucking authoritarian psycho. She didn't give a shit about the truth either. That's interesting. The prosecutors and the damn judges and the clerks, they don't ever say, well, what happened? They all turn their backs on you and they pretend that you're just, a goddamn bank robber. They act like you just fucking shot up the damn neighborhood. They act like you're Israel. And you're just going around killing a bunch of kids and shit. They act like you're the, public enemy number one. And, hey, where do I sit? Oh, I'm not allowed to give you law advice. I just asked where to fucking sit. Oh, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to, turn my back and pretend I don't. They know that they fuck people over. It's a rocket docket slaughterhouse. They don't care about what's true, what's not. If a cop shoots somebody, then won't they charge a cop with a crime? To show us how their judicial system works, right? You got the disposition hearing, the preliminary hearing. You do all these hearings because it's about fairness, right? It's about making sure, hell, at the very least, wouldn't it just be a good idea? Now we're getting Mufasa. Mufasa had kind of snuck out. And now I got 5 dogs in my house running around, and hopefully they take care of each other and do fine. Sometimes they would pick on Mufasa, and there's 5 of them, so to think that 3 could, corner one of them, who knows what could happen. So this is me picking up my baby. Mufasa was, out of all those, he was kind of the biggest one. Like Tiger and Chumba are bulky and strong, big chest or whatever. But Mufasa was kind of the tallest one. Oh man. Bay Area laundry and dry cleaning, when it comes to accrual, it says that a limitations period ordinarily does not begin to run until the plaintiff has a complete and present cause of action. CRS 16-5-4014. It says when an offense is based on a series of acts performed at different times, the period of limitation is prescribed by this code starts at the time when the last act in the series of acts is committed. So they're pointing to Wallace v. Kato saying, 2007, saying, well, you're time barred. You should have, filed your civil rights claim 2 years after the wrongful arrest. So that's September 17th, 2021. I was supposed to, according to them, file the civil rights charges. Now they're taking all my fucking money. Every fucking dime that I had. I didn't leave a fucking penny in there. And then he said $3,000, and then it was $5,000, right? So he lied, so it turned out to be more money than what it actually was. So they took every penny I got, and now I'm going to have to sit in fucking jail. Now I'm going to have to fight the fucking charges. They do release me after a day, and, it was Robert Thrash was my bail bond, and I guess it wasn't too bad. I had some crappy meal and stayed in there with like fucking 3 or 4 fucking crazy sons of bitches. There was a black dude in there, and he was my roommate. They had me room with a black dude, and then there was protective custody, and then everybody was calling the guy in the protective custody pedophile. Hummel's gonna come in and yelling at dude, he wants to attack somebody, and then some other fucking guy, I want to say it was probably Danny Sanchez's kid at my, the ginger that told me, hey, why don't you just go talk to the guys with 5 guns, why don't you go talk to the guys with 5 guns and maybe get shot? She calls, like 3 in the morning or 5 in the morning to see if I'm okay, and then that motherfucker comes, stomping around, oh, we got somebody in here, huh? And just like, I guess don't call the jail and ask if the person is okay, because that could get you in trouble. That could make it fucking worse for you. So, let's see. Whose shotgun is this? That's their shotgun, huh? Let's see. You got the safety. Did you see all the guns that they had? They were just putting all the guns away, huh? So, how much ammunition, how many guns, it'd be interesting to hear some of these conversations later on. I'm reviewing all these, being out off grid. I didn't have time to go through the videos like I do now. But according to the Bay Area Laundry and Dry Cleaning Pension Trust Fund and Fur Bar Corporation of California 1997 case, you got to have a complete and present cause of action. So they're saying that the lawsuit was, time barred because, one, we're going to use the 2-year statute of limitations that the state of Colorado uses. There is no time limit, but the state of Colorado uses a time limit, so they're going to fill the time limit in with Colorado's law. And then 2, they're just going to say the wrongful arrest is the only thing that Cruz Soto is looking for, when actually Cruz Soto doesn't testify. Cruz Soto doesn't testify. He doesn't go get Phil Greeny. He doesn't get Noah or Adam or the lady or fucking Phil Greeny or the 3 material witnesses. You had Susan Lucero, Phil Greeny, and then there was another material witness, which is escaping me right now. But I had 3 material witnesses, so they didn't pick up 4 eyewitnesses and 3 material witnesses. And I paid them bastards to do it. I passed out most of the subpoenas. And they were, society, we are owed every man's evidence, but they want to make this arrest stick. And so they did wrong, and they're going to try to cover up their wrong by not testifying, not giving the evidence, not getting the witnesses, not bringing the witnesses in. Are they closing the gate? Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. They're actually closing the gate for me, You're supposed to take that little yellow thing and twist it around too, okay? Put it there. Now twist the yellow thing. Oh, great. It's just barely hanging on with the chain. Why don't you take the yellow thing and twist it on? So now anybody could just walk up there. Fucking great, Fucking great. And so I guess we'll end it off on the sunset right there. But that's, that happened 2021, September 17th. And then, liberals, fucking left-wing motherfuckers. I haven't heard, I've been trying to tell so many people about this thing. That's the problem with America, is that nobody gives a shit. They say unless you're beautiful or dying, and maybe I'm not beautiful enough. I never really thought I was a dog, but I thought I was pretty enough to win somebody over. I think a woman could just, come out here and just, show her butt and just kind of, here's a pen, and I like to write with this pen, and people would watch that. And it's been hard as hell just to get people to give a damn. I'm trying to make my case, I've been trying to make my case in court, but I'm trying to make my case to the public right here. That's what this is about. Not for sure. Anyways, let's fill out what I'm saying here. So, this isn't just a Fourth Amendment violation, right? He's stopping my Second Amendment. I tried to take it to Colorado courts, and I was all about Colorado law. Now I'm all about America law. Now it's in federal court, and I like it better because the Second Amendment. We know the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment. It goes through the 14th Amendment due process clause. So because Cruz Soto, he had made for a wrongful arrest because I was enforcing my Second Amendment. So that breaks my Second Amendment. He breaks my Fourth Amendment. And then he's not going to, think that he was supposed to testify. Isn't that the craziest thing? If I'm a police officer and I arrest somebody, I would go to court. I would think that I would be expected to go to court to explain why I thought that the person was committing a crime, what I saw, what I didn't saw. And I think that people are so forgiving that even if, he was on trial for this, that they would forgive him if he made a mistake. I went there and, Joe Canty had said that he was doing all this stuff that I guess, in hindsight, he probably wasn't doing it. He was lawful. He called 911. He talked to me several times. I wasn't afraid of him. He comes up to me. He's got 5 pages talking about Tecumseh, talking about the drive-by shooting. And I made a mistake. I came out here. I made a determination, and I thought that he was the culprit, so I made an arrest, and I've totally made a mistake. Joe Canty's a compulsive liar. The physics of the thing doesn't make sense, because if he's running and shooting at him on the front yard, how come there wasn't any, birdshot bullet fragments inside, on the door of your truck or, hit him? You're saying he's running at you in the front yard shooting shotgun bird shots? The physics doesn't make sense. You said you didn't see a 6-foot tall man with 5 dogs. So then he explains that you had jerked your steering wheel and that he's saying, get the fuck out of here. And he's like pointing and yelling. And you don't see a 6 foot tall man saying, get the fuck out of here, pointing and yelling, right? That doesn't make any sense to me. You know, there are definitely disagreements, right? They definitely, both of them say that he made the wrong turn on the Delaware. And then there's just, according to Joe Canty, he didn't even see him. He says Jonathan wasn't even out there. So that means I'm just making all that stuff up. I'm not yelling at him, telling him to get the fuck out of here. He doesn't jerk the damn steering wheel. He doesn't do any of that. My dogs aren't walking towards him, veering towards him. I don't have to run in a brisk jog in order to get to the house. I made all that up. Why would I make something so fucking silly and dumb up? He threatened my fucking life, It wasn't the huge worst thing in the world, somebody jerking their steering wheel, but it's a large industrial truck. It's in a dangerous neighborhood. People drove on the sagebrush before. I've been a victim of people doing drive-by shootings and shit. So I took your fucking threat serious, man. I pissed you off by saying, get the fuck out of here. You jerked your damn steering wheel. I took your fucking threat serious. But he ignored it. So what I'm trying to say is if Cruz Soto came up here and says, well, I thought Jonathan was the culprit, but actually it was Joe Canty was the culprit because he was filing a false claim. And Jonathan Jonathan did everything by the book. He was lawful. You couldn't get more lawful than Jonathan Masters, my God. And he just, goes to the court, apologizes, and says, I made a mistake. I think that the jury would forgive him. In fact, when I think about a gray area law, sometimes there's categorical imperatives, but when it comes to the gray area of the law, I always, would think, well, what would a jury of my peers think? Okay, the law is this, and sometimes it's crystal clear, cut and dry. Sometimes it's a gray area. So if it's a gray area, then I'm thinking, well, if I had 12 of my peers that was sitting in judgment looking, so even me as a civilian would think about how, a jury would look at what I was saying. He thinks that he could make an arrest, ruin a person's life, put all these fucking charges on him, a fucking felony no less. And then after he does all that he doesn't even have to go to court. He doesn't even have to explain why he thought that he did what he had to do. He doesn't have to explain what the probable cause was. He doesn't have to explain what the evidence was. He doesn't have to explain what his fucking reasoning was. He hasn't even got to explain why. The reason why I slowed it down just to hear what he had quoted was because that's all we got. The only indication of what we think that he says, Jonathan, based off of the accusations today, I am not going to lie, we're going to have to take you into custody. Based off the accusations. So, Robert Pickerel was doing a drive-by fucking shooting. Based on those accusations, nothing fucking happened. Sam Jepson was doing drive-by shootings. Based upon those accusations, nothing fucking happened. He's not taken into custody. And then Phil fucking Greeny, motherfucking shit. I mean, how much do you expect a fucking person to fucking take? If I was, you all get freaked out over a goddamn motherfucking couple warning shots, but if I would have gone out to Phil Greeny's fucking truck and pulled his ass out of the fucking truck and just beat the shit out of him, he would have deserved it. It would have been just. And let's say, not beat the shit out of him, let's say, I'm not scrapping, maybe go to his house and do scrapping. If I'm still being within the, within the law, well, I'm going to pull him out and I'm going to arrest him, right? Pull him out, making a citizen's arrest. And if he tries to resist, then, maybe rough him up a little bit. But put some handcuffs on him, throw him over my shoulder, put him in the truck, drive him up to the damn jail and say, hey, here's your culprit. Here's your fucking criminal. Book him. Put him in jail and book him. Here's the crimes he was committing. They would allow all that? Get the fuck out of here. If they're fucking, they pissed themselves because I fired a couple warning shots. If I would have done anything more than a couple warning shots. So we covered Beck v. Ohio, 1964, Jackson v. Virginia, 1979, Brady v. Maryland, 1963, U.S. v. Bagley, 1985. We talked some Sir Matthew Hale. We talked a little Hamilton, Federalist Paper 84. We talked Brinegar v. U.S. 1949. We must remember that the extent of any privilege of search and seizure without a warrant which we sustain, the officers interpret and apply themselves and will push to the limit. That's Brinegar versus U.S. And I love that Brinegar versus U.S. quote because it just it's a balance, right? You got to protect people's rights. You got to go stop the criminals. So, to end this off, since he broke the Second Amendment, broke the Fourth Amendment. It's no shock to me that he broke the Sixth Amendment. Since he didn't testify, since he didn't go get the people that were subpoenaed to testify, he broke two things. He broke the right to confrontation clause. He broke the whole probable cause thing, right? He never explained why he died at probable cause, so I guess he broke three things. He broke the probable cause thing. He didn't do the confrontation, so I couldn't, cross-examine him. And then the right to subpoena. I paid his office to go get the fucking witnesses, and he didn't get the fucking witnesses. So when it comes to CRS 16-5-4014, if he had not made the wrongful arrest, then he wouldn't have had to do the Sixth Amendment stuff. But since he made the wrongful arrest, he should have expected. It's crazy that he didn't think that he would have to testify or that he would have to get any of these witnesses out there to, he had no evidence. All he had was the lie of the guy. So based on accrual, the period of limitation prescribed by CRS starts at the time when the last act in the series of acts is committed. So that means he didn't testify April 7th, 2023. He didn't bring anybody in to testify April 7th, 2023. So if they want to use the 2-year statute of limitations from April 7th, 2023, then that means I had till April 7th of 2025 to, file the wrongful suit. And I did last year. May is when I actually turned it in, but I wouldn't even get the filing accepted until fucking July. I turned it in May. The way these fucking courts are, man, they'll fucking push it back, and it's incredible. If I kidnap a person, I got a badge and a gun, and I kidnap a person, well, the courts know that that person's guilty. But if I file a fucking thing and I have the evidence, and maybe I'll get someone to listen to me, maybe not, it's just the way people are. It's just fucking gross. But according to the statute of limitations, when was the final, complete, and present course of action? That would have been when he did not testify. A course of action does not become complete and present until the plaintiff can file suit and obtain relief. Reader v. Cooper, 1993. So, according to the Bay Area decision of 1997, Wallace v. Kato, the only thing that I'm going to take from Wallace v. Kato is this. Wallace v. Kato says that state law does not fill in for the lack of federal law with the lack of statute of limitations. The law is federal law plus common law. The federal law plus common law. But even if you do fill it in with the state law, CRS 16-5-4014 says that it's the last act in the series of acts that's committed. So this is a series of acts. The arrest is going to lead to the arraignment, is going to lead to the malicious prosecution, is going to lead to the bounding over, is going to lead to you not testifying, it's going to lead to the subpoenas, it's going to lead to me paying the damn office to pass out the testament, the subpoena. They don't pass it out. So without the wrongful arrest, there is no witnesses, there is no subpoena. Without the wrongful arrest, you don't have the other series of acts. So to me, yeah, that's exactly to me what it looks like to me. The series of acts, right? A series of events happens. That's the criminal justice system. The complaint is filed, and then a series of events happens, and you're either exonerated, acquitted, or, wrongfully convicted. This is too long. All right, thanks for listening, America.